Step one, wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step two, get some good, some food in you. Step three, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step four, everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
Good morning, and welcome to Good Morning Crypto, where we turn your early hours in the morning into your edge in financial freedom. Today, I've got a headline from the IMF, so we'll dive on into that one after we get you prepped for some success today. Let me get that stock heat map pulled up for you, and looks like we're seeing a little bit of some buying pressure in the pre-market so far. We've got Apple sitting up 2.21 from its close yesterday, up 0.47 right now. We've got Nvidia sitting down 0.2 from its close, sitting up 0.43 in the pre-market. We've got Berkshire Hathaway sitting up 1.03 from its close, sitting up 0.57 in the pre-market. We've got Amazon down 1.49 from its close yesterday, sitting up 0.41 so far in the pre-market. For Eli Lilly, it is sitting up a whopping 3%. Got a little bit of a boost off of those tariff exemptions, because looks like we'll be seeing a little bit of a pause on the medication side of things, as well as on semiconductors. They are also sitting up 0.44% in the pre-market. Got ExxonMobil sitting up 0.24 from its close, sitting up 0.3 in the pre-market right now. Got Tesla up 0.02 and sitting up 0.36 in the pre-market. We've got P&G up 1.33, sitting up 0.2 in the pre-market so far. Got Microsoft sitting down 0.16, looking up 0.47 in the pre-market. Got Google up 1.3, sitting up 0.72 in the pre-market. And Meta down 2.22, up 0.38 in the pre-market. Let's hop over to the crypto side of things. We are seeing a little bit of red on that daily, but you are seeing some green starting to make its way back in here. Got Bitcoin up 1.4%. We've got Ethereum up 0.3. We've got XRP up 1.6. We got BNB sitting down 0.1%. We've got Solana down 0.3. Tron down 1.7. Dogecoin down 2.2. Cardano up 0.7. We've got Leo token remaining quite stable, up 0.3%. We've got Avalanche sitting with no change on that daily. Chainlink up down 0.7%. We've got Stellar Lumens down 0.2%. We've got TON sitting up 4.2. We've got SWI down 3.7 on the daily. We've got HBAR up 0.1. Shiba Inu down 1.9. We've got Bitcoin Cash down 1.4, and we've got Litecoin up 0.5. I did take a look at OM this morning. It has now dropped another 30 positions on your market cap. So still getting hit quite hard there. Let's hop over to those fear and greeds. We are still sitting on extreme fear. For the stock side, it is up 1 point though, off of a green close from yesterday. We do have the crypto side of things still sitting in fear, not extreme fear, so doing a little bit better than the stocks, but up 7 points off of that move we got to the upside last night. We do have some liquidity to the bottom side. I had to zoom this on out a little bit further. This is a 6-month chart. We do have a lot of liquidity residing to the bottom side of us. We have some at 74,000. I'm still kind of looking in that area. This 71,900 also has quite a bit of liquidity in that zone. So I do still have some downside targets there. Zoom this on in to the 3 month, kind of see what we're looking at there, and it's looking pretty bare on either side. You do have that liquidity up at 100,000 and down here at 64. Zoom this on in, take a look at that 2 week, and everything starts looking quite the same. You have a lot of liquidity residing directly above us. A very easy move for the market maker to kind of get up to, sweep that top side liquidity, and then we'll kind of see if we can turn key areas of resistance back into some support here. I have been talking about 85,200 quite a lot, and we're now back above it. We'll kind of have to see if we can turn it into some support on a higher term time frame. Zoom this on in, take a look at that 3-day. You can kind of see the liquidity zone is quite the same. It's all ranging from that right below 87,000 point to about 86,150. So quite a broad range of liquidity to the top side. Zoom that on in to the 1-day. You can kind of see it is all the same. So everything from that 2-week down to that 1-day just has that very hot spot to the top side of us. Let's take this back to TradingView and pull up that economic calendar for you. We did have a few Fed chairs speaking. If you didn't get that information from them yesterday, I do have that pulled up, and we'll kind of touch on that a little bit later. But for today, we have a little bit of data coming out this morning. We will have import-export from the United States. That will be at 8:30. We also have some inflation data coming out of Canada this morning. We will get the New York State Manufacturing Index as well, looking to be a slow up on the decrease. So still sitting in the negative, but a little bit of a slow up on that, as we saw a little bit of some positive data coming out last week as well. We also have a few more Fed chairs speaking today as well. That will be at 11:35. Fed Barkin will be speaking. We also get some import-export prices coming out of some other countries as well, South Korea, and a little bit later we'll be getting from China some GDP data. So that will be coming out at 10 Eastern time, 10 p.m. Eastern time, to be clear on that. That will be a big market mover for that Asia trading time zone. Keep your eyes on that. We are looking at a bit of a decrease on their GDP growth rate. You know, not too surprising considering all these tariffs that have been coming out. That quarter over quarter change also looking to be a decrease there as well. Industrial production, a massive decrease from 5.9 to 5.6, and retail sales increasing from 4% to 4.2. Well, I will definitely be keeping my eyes on that, since that's who we're in a trade war with. I see a few people in the chats this morning. We got Kyle Fields in here bright and early. Hope you're having a great morning so far. We got Jay Quick Smoker and Jay Violet in the chats. Our Australia watchers over there. Hope y'all had a great day. Glad to see you here. And we got L Jones in the chat saying good morning. Good morning, good morning to you, sir. Hope you're having a great day so far. Let's hop into that Bitcoin chart. I was looking at a bit of a move last night. I had this pulled up on a 1 minute, made a little trend line. Got to break out in the retest, and then had it auto close at my 85,251. So that was my trade for last night. Let me get my little trend lines deleted off of there, and we will go from a higher term time frame and do that top down analysis. All right, let's zoom this on out to that 1 day, see what we're looking at there. Zoom this on in, because not seeing much there. All right, there we go. We've got that MACD still sitting above our indicator line here on that daily time frame, seeing some nice green volume here, but we're still waiting on money flow to switch from some selling pressure back to some buying pressure here. waiting on that switch as we approach this key level I've talked about over and over again, which we're now sitting above. We will kind of have to see at least a 4-hour or a 1-day chart for candles turn this into some support before I get a little more bullish here. We also still have not made a higher high just yet. We are in a trend of making lower lows here. We've been making them this whole way down, making lower highs as well. So waiting for that switch to making a higher high here as well. That would be the first instance of a little bit of some structure shift here. Let's zoom this on in to that 4-hour, see what we're looking at for the next couple of days. You are starting to get a little bit toppy here on this prime oscillator. You see that true 7 switching back to green here as we do see some green money flow coming on in. You could start bumping up against this 382 and see it as a little bit of some resistance, though. You do have a lot of liquidity sitting right below that 382. That is something I've been watching on. As we approach that, we will kind of have to see if we can get back above that. If we don't get above it, at least try to turn this 85 at 251 into some strong support. You can kind of see it was some strong resistance here, pushed us back down. Now we're now trying to get back above it and turn it into some strong support. You do see that MACD line crossing that indicator line back to the upside, but it is quite sideways momentum here. You are starting to print some light red candles here on the histogram, so waiting for that switch back to green as we wait for this momentum change. You do see that 1 hour looking quite similar, where you do see a little bit of some toppiness here on the prime oscillator. Your MACD still has some room to run, but it is moving quite sideways as we've gotten above 85 to 51 there. You do see very green money flow and very green volume here, waiting on that to really increase to try to push us back up to this liquidity zone that resides right above this price action here. You do have 90,800, which is going to be a very strong resistance zone as well. If we can push back up to that 382, turn it into some short-term support and really continue to the upside, I would look at a retest back down here after we get up to that 382 though. Try to see if we can really hold that area. Let's zoom this on in to the 15-minute. See what the morning is bringing our way here. It has been quite choppy. That's where you kind of saw that trend line I had drawn out from the rejection at 85 at 251 last night. Was waiting on that to kind of switch that momentum, got that breakout retest and the push up to my resistance zone. We are seeing it being a little bit toppy here on the 15-minute. You got a divergence stacked up, but you got very green money flow, which is looking to increase in this area, and some nice buying volume as well, looking to kind of continue this trend of making higher lows and higher highs here on the 15-minute. Might see if you can push back down to 85 to 51 and get that strong bounce for the morning. If you do lose that zone, look kind of back down to our lows from here. About 84,300 would be a strong area to kind of see some bouncing from. You got a lot of buying pressure above that area. All right. Do we have any alt requests for the morning? I've got plenty of time to hop into that. I just have that one news article, and then I was going to touch on the Fed chair speeches from yesterday. All right. Let's pull up that. We've got the IMF warning about liquidity. So trade tensions can lead to stock market crashes, says the IMF. We all kind of realize that, we've been going through it. So sharp increase in geopolitical risk since 2022. Major geopolitical risk events include trade tensions can trigger large correction in stock prices, the International Monetary Fund said on Monday. That can turn that in turn can generate market volatility, which can threaten financial stability, it said in a chapter in its forthcoming Global Financial Stability Report. The IMF did not mention specific events such as sweeping tariffs the U.S. President Donald Trump has announced in recent weeks, but it noted that news-based measures of risk include conflicts, wars, terrorist attacks, military spending, and trade restrictions had increased sharply since 2022. In an accompanying blog, the IMF urged financial institutions to hold enough capital and liquidity to help them deal with potential losses from geopolitical risks, and urged them to use stress tests and other analysis to identify and manage such risks. In its report, the IMF said its research had shown the big risk events such as war, diplomatic tensions, or terrorism sent stock prices down an average of 1% point monthly across all countries, with average drops from emerging markets being 2.5 percentage points. International military conflicts such as Russia's invasion of Ukraine in 2022 were the most significant risk events, pushing stock returns down an average of 5% points monthly, twice the level of other geopolitical risks. This is kind of an interesting warning from the IMF, considering that most of your banks run on zero reserves. So once someone puts some money in those banks, they are not required to hold any of that money, and they basically just lend out 100% of that money. Smart banks keep at least 10% of that, but because of federal requirements in the United States and a lot of other countries as well, they don't keep any of that in reserve. They just lend that out to try to make some money off of it. So definitely an interesting warning. You have been seeing recession risks also being increased. I think that latest percentage was a 70% chance of a recession in 2025. So we'll kind of have to see how this all plays out. I think the IMF is thinking quite similar. We did have a few Fed chair speeches from yesterday. Governor Christopher Wallen emphasized that President Trump's significant tariffs persist, they could slow down the economy and potentially lead to recession. I think we all kind of knew that. We've been talking about recession for quite a while here on Piper Academy, and the tariffs are just, the icing on the cake of that. He said he is in support of cutting interest rates sooner, even if inflation rises due to tariffs, though. So we are seeing a little bit of a switch from some Fed chairs to cutting rates no matter what happens, to kind of give some relief to your everyday American and to institutions. You have Fed Bostic, who is speaking as well, highlighted the current economic uncertainty, describing the situation as a big pause. He cautioned against making bold policy moves until there was more clarity, noting that tariff delays reaching the Fed's 2% inflation target until at least 2027. So he's looking at holding for now, keeping those interest rates similar until we can kind of get back closer to that 2% target. We had Fed Barkin speaking as well, acknowledging the economic fog caused by policy uncertainty, and that's why we've seen a giant sell-off in the United States markets. We'll kind of have to see if we get some clearer signals, and that's what he wants as well. Fed Harker also spoke yesterday, did not comment on economic or monetary policy in his recent speech, and focused instead on Federal Reserve structuring and how it's going to make its decisions going forward, and looking more at a rate cut as well. So interesting to kind of see. You are seeing a bit of a switch from some of these Fed chairs to favoring a rate cut no matter what happens, giving some relief to institutions and to your everyday American, lowering some of those borrowing costs that they are able to lower. I see a request for H bar. I can definitely take a look at that. I'm not seeing any other alt requests for now, but let's dive on into gold because I love taking a look at gold. You know, it has been doing quite well. We got that nice move to the upside yesterday. Let me get that chart pulled up here. We got that move back above our one line on the fib extension that I've had drawn out for a little while now. We didn't make a higher high though. We do have very strong resistance above us at $3,244. So that's going to be an area to watch to try to get above for gold. There's some selling pressure above $3,243.60. That's an area I would kind of watch for a rejection from if we get back up to it, unless we see some extremely nice money flow coming in here on your higher term time frame. Does look like this hour is starting to roll over. You've got your MACD line looking back towards our indicator line here as we started to print some light green candles on our histogram. You've also got a divergence stacked up here as your money flow has started to slow up and your prime oscillator switched from green to red and is looking back to the downside. Got a lot of selling volume in this range as well. Looking for a little bit of a retracement from the highs on gold before we really make that push back to the upside. That's you know, a nice little gain on gold for this past month after we got some scary news in the markets. So looking for a little bit of a rejection back down to at least this 382 and $3,140. That'd be a nice strong bouncing level to see gold gain some strength and see some money flowing back into it. That would be a nice little almost 40% decrease from current prices there. Definitely a healthy retracement for gold. We have been taking a look at the Dixie, and I talked about getting that push back up to 116. We did get that push back up to that yesterday and have been doing some ranging action to the downside ever since. It does look like you see some very strong buying pressure trying to come in here and keep the dollar afloat just a little bit, but it's bumping up against a lot of selling pressure here. You do see that MACD line ready to break our indicator line to the downside as we've made lower highs here on our histogram and are starting to look like we're going to print our first red candle here. You see that prime oscillator already looking to the downside, heavily red, true 7 already in the red, headed back down. Your volume is starting to slow up here as well for that buying volume. Looking at a higher term time frame here, it does look like you've got plenty of room to continue to the downside just a little bit more. Everything's heavily red. Your true 7 is clipped, but doesn't mean that that downside is over. Seeing some oversold signals here, but that prime oscillator getting that curvature back to the upside, still sitting heavily red. You do have plenty of resistance to the top side at the golden pocket as well. Since we broke through it so heavily, I have been looking back down here at some of these lower levels. We do have about 97.76, which would be a next area to kind of watch for the Dixie. We did see very strong support on that level before we got that push up to the golden pocket. If you lose that, platinum pocket comes back into play at 96.76. Let's take a look at some of these indices I've been keeping my eye on. We did talk about the S&P yesterday, getting that little pushback up toward on the top side of our CME gap, trying to find our way back into this CME gap from the beginning of April. We are looking to try to push back up to that. You do see your prime oscillator switching from green here from red to green here, as we see buying volume really increasing in this zone. You do see a little bit of some topping signals here on the prime oscillator, but I'd mainly look for that being some sideways momentum here, as you see some light buying pressure at the beginning of the morning. Let's zoom that. Let's take a look at some of these other ones. I was taking a look at the NASDAQ yesterday. We do have heavy resistance at our CME gap from about the same time, the beginning of the month. Let me get that drawn out there. From the top to the bottom, let's get that colored blue so we know it's a CME gap there, and colored blue there as well. We are sitting inside the CME gap. We keep rejecting from that midline here, and we're looking to try to get back up. We do see this 1 hour looking like it needs to see a little bit of a cool off. Try to hold this bottom side of our CME gap as support at 16,786. If we do break below that, there is some strong support at the zero line of my fib, the one line of my fib retracement at 16,688. You are seeing that money flow sitting in the red here for the NASDAQ, and buying volume increasing for that hourly chart. So waiting to see if that money flow can switch back to the green here, as we see plenty of buying volume coming in. We did take a look yesterday at the Russell 2000. The Russell 2000 did quite similar to what I had been looking for. We were sitting below this CME gap, got that nice push to the midline before we really saw a little bit of rejection at the 382. Looking to try to get that push back up towards the top side of our CME gap. But that 1 hour also looking a little bit toppy here on the Russell 2000 as well. It is a little bit higher into the CME gap than some of these other indices. So looking to really try to hold that bottom as some support at 1,864 before we really get the strong push above it and deal with all the selling volume that's in this negative space here. So definitely looking for some upside targets if we can cool off this 1 hour oscillator. All right, we had a H bar requested. I can take a look at that. And any other alt requests you might have, or TradFi requests, go ahead, drop them in the chat for me. I see lasers go pew pew in the chat. Good morning to you, sir. And I see Arsan246 in here as well. Good morning. Hope you're having a great day so far. Let's zoom this on out. Take a look at the 4 hour, see what might be coming our way here. I guess it's been a while since I looked at H bar. We got above an area I was looking at for resistance. Yep, it was running from way back here in March. We did see a very strong resistance line that we are now back above. We did see some strong support on 16 cents, 16,144 here, that we're looking to maintain and get that push back up. You do see very strong resistance to the top side of us at about 17,798, where we see a lot of wicking action to the bottom. Let me get that horizontal ray drawn out for you. We got coming in right from the wicks here. 18 cents would be that point I would look for at H bar for a little bit of some resistance. You do see this 4 hour chart looking to the upside here. You got that prime oscillator and MACD both getting some curvature back to the upside. Prime oscillator just switched from red to light red here, as that MACD line is also getting that curvature back to the upside, starting to print some light red candles on the histogram. So looking for that move back to 18 cents. Let's take a look at the hourly. That hourly looking like it has some more room to run here, as your MACD line is looking to cross the zero line, printing some heavy green candles here that are higher than the previous heavy green candles. So looking for that continued momentum to the upside, as you see plenty of buying volume here on this hourly prime oscillator sitting nice and green, and True 7 behind there sitting green as well, waiting for that next leg up to the upside. Let's see what that 15-minute and the morning might be bringing our way for H bar. Starting to get a little bit to the point where you could see another reversal signal start to flash here. You have a little bit of some resistance to the top side of us at about 17 cents. Let's get this one drawn out so you know it's a higher term time frame resistance area, and this would be a shorter term time frame that I'm about to draw out. You see that coming in at about 17 cents. Let's make that thin so you know it's the short term time, and that would be that resistance area I would kind of look for the short term on H bar to try to get above it, turn into some strong support there. You are in a trend where you've been making some lower highs, so looking for that switch around that area. You do see it being the potential for a resistance zone, as the prime oscillator is a little bit toppy and that MACD is moving a little bit sideways in the range. We got Donato Cabrera in the chat. I see Vet requested as well. I can definitely take a look at Vet, and probably take a look at some XRP and ADA as well. I know the people love some ADA and love or hate some XRP depending on your views on it. Let's scroll on down. I'm pretty sure Vet is in my favorites list. There it is. Yeah, been a while since I've taken a look at Vet. Looks like it's above some long trending horizontal resistance. So getting that move back above 0.23367, trying to hold that as some support. The short-term time oscillators do look a little bit toppy in this range. You are making some higher highs and higher lows though, so looking quite nice for Vet so far. Let's try to get a little bit of a trend line drawn there. See what we'd be looking at for a little bit of a bounce to the downside. Seeing that run kind of nicely with that horizontal resistance there. Might see that bounce come back down at horizontal resistance for our higher term time frame to try to see that push back above. Looking like 0.25083 would be our first real resistance area. That was the lows. From back here, you do have another area, 0.25880, which would be something to watch for. There's a bit of some selling pressure in this zone here. You see that 4 hour just switching to green on our prime oscillator. True 7 just went to green as well. Plenty of buying volume here on the higher term time frame. MACD looking a little bit toppy though, so might need to see a little bit of some cool off on top of our long-term resistance area, long-term resistance line that I had drawn out there. 1 hour also looking a little bit toppy here, getting that rollover here as well, but the prime oscillator staying green on the hourly. So looking for a strong bounce to the upside. You do see plenty of buying volume. True 7 also moving quite sideways and green, so waiting for that money flow to really come back in. You have been seeing a lot of these projects with green buying volume but some red money flow as they do get above key areas. No different than Bitcoin getting above that 85 at 251, seeing that very green volume, but seeing some red money flow as the bears and bulls do a little bit of some battle. Let's see what the 15-minute is looking like. That's we saw very toppy here on the MACD and prime oscillator. Overbought signals flashed. Oh, double clicked that. Overbought signals flashed, and we got that reversal signal with the prime oscillator sitting heavily red. True 7 waiting for a clip out though, so looking for a little bit of a bounce with the green volume at our long-term resistance line. turn it into some support. That'd be that 0.23382 that I'd be looking for on VET, as that MACD is crossing our indicator line, but it's not looking like it's doing it with some extreme downside movement. It is looking a little bit sideways here. As you have it zoomed out, it looks like it's doing more of a slight curve to the downside before it'll hit a nice move back to the upside with all of that buying pressure on the higher term time frame. Let's take a look at ADA. I see Crypto Billy in the chat saying good morning, good morning. Getting that Donato Cabrera announcement in there in his second basement, in his announcer voice. Good morning to you, Billy. I will see you at your morning motivational video here after the show. You did see ADA in a nice flagging out pattern here. You are seeing a nice strong resistance line on the top side of us. Let's negate that kind of strong wick in action above that. You see a nice trend line of resistance from all of these lower highs, and looking to try to hold the 62-cent point as some strong support. That is a nice strong flat resistance area to support area to the bottom side. You do see this 15-minute looking like it's rolling over a little bit, but that prime oscillator looking like it's getting some curvature back to the upside. Let's take a look at this 4-hour, see what we're looking at there. Do that top down analysis. We do see that prime oscillator getting some continued curvature back to the downside, but you see plenty of buying volume in this range. It has been slowing up just a little bit as we've been bumping up against resistance over and over again, making some lower highs, but you've got that very strong support below us at 62 cents that I'd really watch for a bouncing action from. Try to get above this resistance line, turn it into some strong support, and launch back up to 67 cents there. You have been seeing Bitcoin make a little bit of a move towards some top side liquidity, so that would really drag some of these alts up in price as well. You have that 1 hour looking a little bit toppy as well. Your MACD getting that roll over as you're starting to print some light green candles here. You are making higher highs on our histogram for the dark green section though, so would really need to see that kind of switch up. You do see some light buying volume here on the hourly as your prime oscillator is still looking for that push to the upside. It is quite sideways on that momentum though, so looking like this is going to be resistance all over again. Zoom that on in, take a look at that 15-minute and what the morning might be bringing our way. That's where we were talking about that prime oscillator. Got a divergence stacked up here. Might see us make that little curve back up, make another divergence on top of that, get that strong rejection off of our resistance line before we really reject to the downside. MACD getting that break of our indicator line to the downside as we're starting to print some heavy red candles on the histogram. So that's where I'd look for 62 cents first, and then look for that breakout and then a retest to try to get back up to 67 cents for ADA. Let's take a look at XRP. We looked at that one yesterday and talked about that push back to the top side of our old fair value gap here off of the midline of it, and that was $2.10, and was looking for $2.18. We faltered just a little bit short of $2.18 before we started getting some rollover here. You do still have plenty of room to run to the upside here on the 4-hour as you are getting that curvature back to the upside on your MACD and your prime oscillator here with some very strong buying volume in your True 7 back in the green. So looking like we still have that potential to get above our old fair value gap, turn 218 into some strong support, and get back up to $2.24. Let's take a look at that hourly, see what we're looking at there for the day, and that's where you might need to see a little bit of some cool off here as well. You've got your MACD line breaking our indicator line to the top side as we maintain this zero line quite nicely, are seeing a little bit of some curvature here for sideways momentum here on the prime oscillator, as our true 7 is trying to maintain in the green, seeing a little bit of some curvature back down. You are seeing some very light buying volume here starting to step in on the hourly, so looking to really try to get above 218 here, but it looks like it's going to be a little bit of some short-term resistance. Take a look at that 15-minute, and that's also looking a little bit toppy. Could see that cool off quite nicely, continue to make another a higher low, as all of this has been higher lows here, looking for a little bit of a bounce here at about that $2.14. We saw this brief sideways momentum before we really got that push back up to the upside there. Let's get a short-term horizontal ray drawn out from that price point. That'd be $2.1497, which would give us a nice strong bouncing zone and a cool off of these oscillators on that 15-minute to really try to push back up above 218. All right, not seeing any other alt requests, but I do say K Diggity in the chat. Good morning to you, sir. Hope you're having a great morning so far. Let's see what we're seeing. We did see a little bit of some movement from OM. I know apparently Crypto Billy decided he was going to ladder into a long there. I don't know if I had heard that right from yesterday. I know Piper was talking about that. We did see 19 cents might be coming back into play here. You do see the 15-minute looking like you're starting to see some reversal signals starting to flash, but still see a very, very high selling volume on your higher term time frames here. 4 hour looking like you're starting to get the curvature back to the upside. Prime oscillator just switched from red to green here, but it's looking like it's about to roll over just a little bit. True 7 has clipped out and is still looking red, as that selling volume is starting to decrease on the higher term time frame. So if we can make another higher low here, I would look for a little bit of a push back up to $1. Let's see what that hourly was looking like. Looking like a bit of a rollover there as well. Trying to make another higher low in this area. Let's get that potential trend line drawn out, because it would, that's a horizontal ray. Let's get that as a trend line. There we go. Potential trend line for a little bit of some bouncing action to the downside before you really see that move back up. I posted my trade 100% profit. Okay, so you're already, I'm guessing you caught a little bit of this move then. We did see that fair value gap being a bit of some resistance, looking for that strong money flow to come back in here. Starting to see a little bit of some buying volume here on the hourly, but your 4 hour really needs that green buying volume and money flow, and that 15-minute needs it as well, as it is still seeing some selling volume coming in here for OM. That's where if you don't hold this as a trend line, I would really look back down to 19 cents, where there's some very, very strong support in that area. All right, I didn't see any other alt requests, so let's take a look at something random that's doing all right. We did see Tron sitting 0 on that daily time frame, so got that rejection off of 25 cents. I guess I'd taken a look at Tron. Oh, yeah, back here when I was looking for some bouncing off of our lower levels, was looking for 25 cents. It's been a little while since I've looked at Tron. We got that nice strong bounce off of our one line on our fib extension. I see a request for ETH. Crypto Billy says, I actually went long, caught the bottom to the move back up. Well, congratulations on that move there, Billy. That was quite ballsy. I would not have done that myself. You know, I would. I'm still waiting for my potential OM trade there. Just a little bit more ballsy than I am. All right, we did see this rejection off of 25 cents that apparently we drew out from the highs back here. So did see a little bit of some wicking action above that and then immediately saw some selling volume. We are looking for a little bit of a roll over here on the 4-hour. It has been maintaining a little bit better than some other projects, but you do see that MACD line breaking our indicator line to the downside. Got your divergence, which is looking to play out here as your prime oscillator is in the red, True 7 in the red, but you do have plenty of buying volume in this range. So looking to come back down, retest some of the areas I was looking for as some short-term resistance. That'd be 24,318. That I'd look for a little bit of some bouncing. You have the potential for 24,50 to be a little of a bounce zone, but with how selling off this 4-hour looks like, I would look for a little bit lower. Let's see the hourly looking like it's going to continue with that sell off. Got that push back towards our indicator line before we really rolled over there, starting to print those heavy red candles all over again. Prime oscillator switch from green to red, rolling over. Got plenty of selling volumes, which just increased here. So looking for a continued sell off on Tron on the hourly as well. 15-minute also looking like you've got continued sell off heading our way. Might see a little bit of a bounce down here at our very equal lows at about 24.61 before you see that continued, because prime oscillator looking a little bit overextended. Might see a slight reversal signal start flashing here in this area before you continued that sell off back down to 24,318. All right, take a look at Ethereum. That was requested there. We did see this area holding as some support here. Let's get that cleared up. Get the back as some black there, so we know that the bottom side and the top side are looking to kind of hold up. Let's get this zoomed on out. Take a look at that 4-hour. We got that nice strong bounce from the bottom side of that box I was looking at. We did see lots of selling pressure above that, and that's kind of what we're bumping into right now on the 4-hour. 4-hour does look like it might see a little bit of some rollover here, as we are printing a smaller and smaller green candles on our histogram. You do see that prime oscillator also sitting heavily red, but it is getting some slight curvature back to the upside, waiting on that money flow to kind of make that push back into the green. True 7 sitting red, but you got nice buying volume here in this range. So this area that was selling volume is now looking like a buying area. So looking for a little bit of some bouncing back here in the zone. We do see a nice pattern of higher lows being made with some now stronger resistance to the upside. Let's get that new box drawn. Actually, let's just move this box to the upside, looking at this being our new sell wall for Ethereum. Let's get that colored in on the inside and lock it so we don't move it around. This is where we see a very strong selling volume to the upside on Ethereum. If we do get that pushback to the upside, that's going to be about a 1,670 and ranges all the way up to 1,691, so almost a 1,700 being our real sell wall here. You do see some of these shorter time momentum waves getting that pushback to the upside, waiting on some of these higher term time frames to really catch up here. Would want to get up to that 200, see it hold as some support. Probably going to see a little bit of a rejection off of this 200 moving average. It is coming in at that 1800 mark, but I would look for that to come down just a little bit further, as we might see a little bit of some rollover on Ethereum there. I would look at that 1 hour and the day, seeing a little bit of some downside. MACD looking to break our indicator line to the downside. MACD and MACD and Prime Oscillator both sitting a little green here. Got your money flow coming back in as we are trying to maintain some of these lower price points of about $1,607. Plenty of buying volume coming in for Ethereum as well. So just looking to see if we can maintain some of these lows before we really get back up into this sell wall that is above us. Let's see what that 15-minute and the morning are bringing our way here. All right, we got our MACD breaking below our indicator line here as we try to waffle around in this price area and really hold that 1,635 as support. It does look like we're starting to break to the downside of that now. You do see that money flow being nice and green and your buying volume being nice and green here as well, but MACD and Prime Oscillator both looking like they need a little bit of some cool off here. So that's where I'd really look to the downside. See if you can see that strong bouncing action at all these lows back here. That's $1,615 being some very strong short-term support there. All right. I'm not seeing any other alt request for me, but it's 6:25 and I need to start getting ready to head out the door. I got an hour drive ahead of me to get to work, so need to finish packing up a few things for lunch. I appreciate every single one of you that tuned in for the morning. I know this new time frame is a little bit earlier, so I appreciate you showing up. We do have 3 other shows on the Piper Academy. That will be the morning market report at 10 a.m. Piper will be breaking down some of that data we're gonna get today. That will be at 8:30. We get the import exports from the United States. We also have Trading with OC at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. He does a great job of breaking down the charts and his thought processes. And we got Markets After Dark with Lunar Beaches Crypto at 11 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll also be doing a Discord class in our Discord tonight. That will be a back to basics. So if you are not a YouTube member, you will need to be a YouTube member to get access to that. Let me go ahead and do something real quick. We got one person is going to be able to join that class who's not a member in the charts in the chat this morning. There we go. Let me get that one. Whoever that went to, you can, Dave Digital. There we go. You must be lurking in the background. So if you join up in that Piper Academy Discord, we will be doing a back to basics class there. So yeah, gotcha, Dave Digital. I know you lurking in the background. Hope you're having a great morning so far. And make sure to wake up because today's going to be a good day. K Diggity saying rigged. Have a good one, y'all.